Well, hello and welcome back. I'm Claire. This is Purple Poppy, and today we are on Sunday stitching, but we're doing something a little bit different. Not last Sunday's video, because that was the Roxy greenhouse, but the Sunday before, where we did the panel, the square on our panel. There was a comment from the Cat 5620 regarding my little needle book, and she asked if I would show how it was made. So here we go. Now, as you can see, it's basically 2 pages stitched, and then that's the back two. So if you look at it, a book, it's 2 pages folded in half. I've then just added a pocket there that you could put some buttons or whatever in, put all my needles there. It's now a mess with threads, but a little panel there to put pins in. I've got a little heart there that I put my scissors in. Not these scissors, obviously, because it's too small for them. For my little pink ones, don't know where they are at the moment. And then another little pocket on the back, and I just did blanket stitch all the way around the edge of the pockets, so that there was some decoration really. On the heart there, I just did 3 little French knots. There's a bit of bow. On this one, I just did a very long sort of running stitch and then a fancy knot at the end. So, and decorated it with bits of lace that I had. Really simple stuff. So, I have got myself some fabrics and some lace. Now, this is the felt that I used. I had a big sheet of this that I got from an Etsy lady. I'll look it up and let you know. Now, you're going to need to work out what size you would like this to be. Now, if you take the skirt bit off of mine, this actual felt is 4 inches tall by 5 inches. So I would have cut 2 at 10 and cut it in half. Okay, so we want 4 inches. So 1, 2, 3, 4 inches. Line that up there, and I'm gonna put a snip. I mean, it doesn't have to be, you know, exactly, but I'm gonna put a snip there. Now, I know this is a 6-inch square, so, well, 6.5 actually. 6, and we want to go to 4. So if we put a little pencil mark up, I can just see it. Okay, because it's folded double, I could cut it like that, but I don't want a big hole in it. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to cut a straight line all the way, well, straight-ish. You know I don't do straight. All the way up there. Look, it's hardly straight, is it? But it's good enough for what we require. Okay, get rid of that because that's excess. So we now know, excuse me, that this is the length that we want, and we want it, where's my snip? There, sorry. This is the length we want it, and there's my snip, and we can see that that is basically going to cut in half for us. So I'm just going to take my pinking shears, okay, and because it gives me a nice edge, and I'm going to cut down here. also you can see I've got pinking shears at that end, so it just makes sense. Don't need them, you can cut straight lines. Okay, get rid of that for a minute. I'm now going to cut right across this edge. Okay, so now obviously you can cut 2 individual pieces if you find that easier. I'm choosing to just cut it in half like that. Okay, now we can see that this end needs a pink shape to it. A pink shape. Need to use the pinking shears to give it that serrated looking edge. Okay, now this one is obviously slightly bigger than this one, and I have got to do a pink there, so I'm just going to even it up by cutting them together. It's the easiest way, really. So just cutting along there. If you cut them together, they're going to be the same size. They may not be exactly straight, but they're going to be the same size. Okay. And then obviously what I did was I folded it in half and I stitched, and you can see that's there, not straight. It's got to be straight to the eye, if not mathematically straight. Okay, and then obviously I just stitched down there and that made it into a book, but we'll do that in a minute. Now, opening it back out like that, I need to look at my laces. Okay, so what I did here was, you see that there, we've got layer 1, layer 2, and then the flowers at the top. Okay, so I've got this coffee dyed broad glaze, and that could sit there like that, and that would give me the tail piece that I had. So it could come a little bit lower like that. Could then use, this is coffee dyed net curtain, and maybe put that across the top like so. So we've got 2 layers, or we might actually prefer it the other way round. So we could line up these like daisies on there, and then maybe put the broad glaze, just finding the front, on the top like that. I'm not quite sure which way round I prefer it. I think actually, surprisingly, I prefer it this way. So I'm going to put this across and down a smidge, and that will be my lace, my first layer of lace. And then I'm going to put this one across the top. So I know I need it that long, so I'm going to trim up there. But what I'm going to do now is, because we're going to decorate the top, is I'm going to cut round this piece. Okay, so that we've got these like leaf shapes. We're doing more craft area organisation this afternoon, so when I've done this video for you, and obviously I need to do my 100-day project video. Then I will be doing some craft room. Right, so I'm gonna put a snip there, tear that up because this is cotton. Okay, also it'll fray nicely. I'm then gonna work out the heights. So I'm just going to go to the top of the patterning. That gives me a nice piece of cotton to work on for something else. Now, I didn't put a closure on mine. Obviously, if you wanted a closure, you could add one. That wouldn't be a problem at all. And then this piece that we've just cut out, I'm going to layer there, like so. And then where we cut that piece, we cut on these flowers. So I'm just going to now trim out very roughly initially these flowers. Okay. And obviously we'll get to the point where we cut the bottom off, so then we can see just this last flower here. We can stop there so that the rest of the net is intact for future use. I suddenly had thought I wasn't recording. That's a bit crazy, isn't it? But we are definitely recording. Oh dear. I was going to say, how do you recut a piece of lace? Anyway, I haven't asked. I trust everybody is happy, safe and well. Sunday, you're having a nice lazy day or time with family, whatever. Crafting away. Okay, so now if I get my trusty little scissors, I can cut much more delicately around these flowers, and I can start to layer them up. Now I'm obviously not going to have enough here, so then I'm going to find some other flowers, perhaps those same ones that are in that. And I used contrasting felt when I did that one. I used the purple. I don't know that I'll use purple in this one. I might carry on and just use the same cream. Keep it, you know, very neutral. Different colours of coffee dyed fabrics. And those flowers obviously are much more creamy anyway. So just trim around these. Now obviously this is a little tiny bit time consuming. So, and I don't really want to use your time up for cutting out flowers. So when I've done this one, I'll turn the camera off and I'll come back when I've done them all. Okay, so you can see this will now hang over the top like that. So I'll carry on cutting and I'll see you in a minute. Okay, so we're back. So I cut out all of those daisy type flowers from the net, and then I've cut out 3 of these from this dress. This is a charity shop dress, and I've been cutting flowers out of that for a long time. And yeah, so if we lift everything up, we can decide how we want them. So I'm thinking these will go on the two ends. I'm then going to put, also it's a different fabric so it feels pleasing in the hand. One of those there. I've spoken before about when I have lace, I like to cut my components out. I don't always feel happy when I see, none of my business really, but I see people just cut a square of lace. I want to see, you know, the lace as it should be seen. Now we've obviously got more here than we need, so I'm just gonna move the dress ones down and the curtain ones up, if that makes sense. Just adding another dimension, just making sure that the dress ones skim the top of the area, and then putting the neck curtain ones up a bit higher like that. Okay, I'm gonna need a basic needle and white thread. I did also bring this flower that's just made from a different neck curtain, and all I did was cut a strip, fold it in half, do a running stitch, pull it in tight, and I held it down, and maybe that might be nice there, but it is a bit white. We'll see how we go. So from my needle case, I need a needle and I need white thread. Now the reason this case is such a mess is because I hate waste, and I keep putting my needles in here, as you can see, with thread in them. So you don't obviously have to do this. You operate your life your way. But for me, you see, and now I've got it in a knot anyway, so doesn't necessarily work, does it? But there we go, there's the end. You obviously don't have to do that. You can keep it nice and pristine by what am I saying? By taking your threads out. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to pick up this first layer, and I'm going to do a stitch through all of those top layers, tiny at the top, giant at the back, and back through. And now you start to understand why I put the pockets on the front and back, because it hides this stitching. If you're a nice neat stitcher, then you could obviously leave it. Doesn't need to be hidden. I just wanted to hide it because I don't believe I'm the neatest stitcher. I just stitch really for pleasure. So down there, and I'm going down on an angle to try and make sure that I've got everything caught, and I'm only doing this to the top layer of the felt, the other layers there, yeah. So just invisible stitches or tacking stitches, tiny stitch at the top into a big stitch at the back, and then let's pull that to straighten that out. Okay, now just give it a little shake, make sure we've got a piece of everything, so we know now that it's all attached. And I'm just doing a little knot to fasten that off and snip. So that is really the basis of it. Obviously I'm going to go round and I'm going to do a lot more stitching to make sure it's all held in place, but basically that is all joint, okay, because we've stitched through various pieces, and now we can go round and we can, you know, stitch down where we want. If you want all these flowers to lift up so that you can see the leaves of the net, then don't put any more stitches there. You want this to lift up so you can see this, then fine, only stitch through the broad anglaise. You know, it's your needle case, it's your choice. I'm going to mix it up. I'm going to try and find some white thread, which I probably should have done before I turn the camera on. What a nightmare am I. Bear with me, I will be back. Okay, I got a creamy coloured one, which will work perfectly well. So I'm just pulling off some length. I thought I'd cut it, I obviously didn't. Trim that off. And now the joy of threading the needle, which is never fun, because if you don't know by now, I'm blind as a bat. The lovely Karen sent me some needle threaders, and whilst they work beautifully for pulling the thread through the needle, you've got to be able to see to put the cotton through the diamond. Oh, I know, I'm a hopeless case. Absolutely hopeless. Right, I'm just going to pull the two ends together, make a knot, because I'm, you know, there you go. Right, so I'm going to choose where I stitch, if you know what I mean. I'm not going to keep it deliberate. So there, I don't want to see that bit. So I am going to choose to stitch this top flower. That knot's obviously not quite big enough. Choose to stitch this top flower on this side to make sure that I can't see the felt that's underneath. Yep. And then having done that, so now you see if I lift it up, I can't see it. So stitch back through there, and now I'm coming down and I'm stitching into this net curtain now. Okay, still doing tiny invisible tacking stitches on the top, not as big on the back as it was. I mean, we were doing great big ones. Now I'm only doing, you know, that sort of size. So a reasonable standard size stitch. Now, if I go through here, can't see any of that felt. Okay, so now I'm going to dodge that point. I'm just going to do, as it were, a fixing stitch, because I don't want that stitching to come undone. So I'm going to do a fixing stitch by putting my needle through the loop. Okay, so we've got like a knot, and then I'm going to do one of those really big tacking stitches and come down to there, because all that's going to do is now hold the edge of the net lace in place. Try not to get a knot in your stitch, Claire. There we go. So now you can see that's going to there. Okay, don't want to go any further with that. So again, another knotty stitch, and then hold up my lace so that I'm not stitching any more lace. I'm only stitching into the broad elm glaze. Okay. And obviously you can see the felt through the holes in the broad elm glaze because the felt is cream and the broad elm glaze has been coffee dyed, but that's fine. Hold that tight. We do not want to gather that in any way. Again, do a fixing knot. I mean, there's nothing complicated here. This is just base stitching. It's just about choosing what you've done. So this side now, look, we've got almost a pocket. That's totally good. So I'm going to pull my needle out of here. So make sure we've got a good knot. I'm going to cut my thread and then I'm going to do another knot, and I'm going to pick where I want to stitch on the flowers. So I'm going to have a stitch here, okay, and run through there, because what I want is I want some movement. I want this to move, I want this to move, and I want this to move, but I don't want it all flapping around in the breeze, if you know what I mean. I want some of it to be secure. Then I'm going to go right over there to that flower, you see, and I want to hold that down, so I'm going to come up to there. So I'm just doing what I call pick stitching. So I'm literally picking where I want my stitches to be. I'm doing a random 1 or 2 stitches. See there, we want something to hold that there. 1 or 2 stitches where I want them, or where I need them, whatever you want to say, and then I'm, as it were, running away and leaving it alone. So then this one keeps curling under, so we're not having that, so we're going to put a fixing stitch in there. Okay, there you go. And then I'm going to go up there, and I'm going to do one in there. So, and then I'm coming up to there. So you've got the idea, okay? I am going to fasten that off there because I've run out of cotton anyway. And now that you know what I'm doing, you don't need me to carry on and do every single stitch. Okay, so that's that one. And then what I did was I put this on top like so. There's a bit of bow, go away bow. So you can probably hear her snoring, can you? Like that. Okay. Here's my cotton. And then what I did here was my needle, I stitched down the centre, so there we go. That was quite calm, was it? And you'll notice that I'm always doing double threads, always. So go to the back of your work, find a centre point there, go to the back of your work so we can hide our knot, and come through there like that. You can then tuck that down behind. Just double check that that is your centre point. Yep, that's good. And then all I did was I went in tiny stitches down. So we're almost stitching a signature in, if you like. So tiny on the top. Make sure that you've got both layers. See, make sure you've got both layers. Tiny stitch on top, bigger stitch to the back, and just tiny stitch to the top, bigger stitch to the back, and just keep going all the way down. Now that is obviously not going to be enough to hold it, so then what I did was I went back up the other way. Okay, do a fixing stitch here, and then I just went all the way back up, so that in effect you've stitched it twice. Okay, and then the embellishments came about just because I felt it wanted something extra. The pockets and the emphasis of where the pins go are really not necessary. It's just the mood that I was in at the time that I was doing it, if I'm honest. So finish that off. Got a nice knot there. Because we've chosen a good colour match, you can hardly see the stitching, and then you'll see that folds over. Okay, and then that's actually the bottom, isn't it? That folds over, and then that's our page there. But obviously I went along and I hid the stitching, and the way that I hid the stitching, as I've said, now I did mine in felt. You can do it in felt, you can do it in, look, this contrasting cotton. That's quite nice. So because I've got it on my desk, you see, this is how it came about, like that. And then we use that just like that, and it's just like an inside cover. It hides our stitches and it adds a little bit of interest. Okay, you want a pocket on it, you can definitely put a pocket on it, and then you could come back and put your pocket like that, because then what you've done is you've sort of added you know, an interesting colour through the middle. And there you go. We can stitch that as a pocket. So we'll stitch the cream cotton down, and then we'll stitch this over the top. And then for the actual pocket that was on the inside, I just again took a piece of felt. That's not felt, that's batting. Where did I put the felt? Here. Take a piece of felt. That's not big enough, I need a bigger piece. So cut a piece that is the same width as your page, slightly under, and cut a strip. Again, completely wonky that is, but hey ho, you know what they say. So that will go on there, perfect. So then all I did was I did a pocket by folding that up and folding that down. Okay, sorry. Right, sorry about that. So all I did obviously was I had this piece, I brought this up like this, and then I brought my flap down. But I've actually cut this a bit short there. We really want that to finish. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to adapt. Always adapt. So fold it in half, start at the centre, and give myself a curve like that. Okay, and then can straighten it up a little bit because it's not very straight, is it? Like most things in the cloud world, nothing is straight. There you go. It's a bit straighter now. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to put this down here like this. Okay, and we're going to bring this out. If we bring it down there, we still see all those stitches. So if we just do it there like that, okay, I'm pressing it to try and give it some memory. I'm going to take my dress, I'm going to cut out another couple of flowers. So just trim these out. I do apologise for Bo, there's obviously some movement outside the front door and she's not happy and she's going to let them know about it. And then if you pop that one on there, and then we'll pop another one on the other side, we've given ourselves a very posh looking pocket which has hidden up the fact that we trimmed it too short. If you haven't got any of these lacy type flowers, you can use any type of ruffle or lace, but I'll be honest with you, if you get yourself down to your local charity shop, I have said this many times, these dresses in my charity shop are £3. £3 for yards and yards of beautiful lace flowers. And all you got to do is sit down in front of the telly and cut them off, and snip them off, or do what I've done, which is cut them off as and when you need them, and then that's going to sit on there, and that is going to give me a super pocket. Look at that, how sexy is that? Right, so I've tied my needle into my dress, of course, because that's how I rock and roll, isn't it? Oh my goodness. So the last of, oh, we didn't do this, the piece for our pins and our scissors, did we? Okay, so I'm gonna do a little flap there, and then we're gonna bring this through here like that. Okay, so tiny stitches again, but this time you're going to need to do stab stitches rather than the big ones. So what that basically means is just up and down rather than that big stitch, because you don't want big baggy, you don't want big stitches in there, because we're going to be looking at that. So fairly small stitches, okay, just to hold this on. Like so. Okay, and then I'm going to go back up here. You could even go up and down and up and down and up do like a little running stitch. You won't see that. And then you can join this one on. Okay, take your needle through there, and now your second flower is on. Okay, like so. And again, I'm not done it up the top here because I'll decorate with some beads and things. So, there you go. Okay. Now, I'm just conscious of time. How long have we been here? Yeah, nearly the hour. Sorry. Okay. So now, what you need to do is just bring that over. Where did it go? It folds there. Okay, that's my fold point. And then just bring your pocket up like so. So there's our pocket. Okay. And then you can just stitch that in place there. It's just basic stitching, isn't it? And then here we need a strip that we put our pins in. Boo, no. Right, sorry, I turned you off there because I could hear Boo revving up for a bark. Okay, now this is the one where I just stitched round with embroidery yarn because that's where our pins were sitting. Our needles I didn't give any background to at all. I just literally, look, no background at all. I just literally put my needles in like so, and I put the big eye embroidery needles that side, and I put the smaller stitching needles on that side like so. Okay, so that's our pocket, that's our needles. There's nothing on the back of my needles. Pins, back pocket. So we just need our pretty little heart or something to hold our scissors. Now, what have we got here? I could cut a heart, I suppose. But you know what? I think I'm going to be happier with a strip. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut a strip like this. Because also, I mean, I've done the heart already. Let's look at how we can change things. So then this one could be, oops, snipped. So we've got our continued pinked edge. And you can just trim that. I mean, obviously, if you've done all yours straight, then that's fine. do it straight. And then trim up there, because we're just looking really for a patch, and I will stitch it there and there so that the scissors can obviously, not these ones because these are massive, they can sit down there. So we'll just stitch that there and there. And then obviously you can, I've just tucked a bit of lace in there in case I wanted to use it for something. And there's my pocket there. So I hope that makes sense to you. I'm going to call you Kat because you're the Cat 5620, and obviously I don't know what your name is. So, and Kat could be Catherine. So I hope that makes sense, Kat. I hope you can see how that all came together. The only other thing I would say is if you do want to put a tie on it, then at this point here, before you sew this pocket down, that is where you would put your tie. And likewise on the back, because obviously that would be stitched to there, if you want to have a tie, then the back tie piece would go behind that pocket, and then those two would be able to tie. So I hope that all makes sense. You can see what I did, how I did it, and I've answered your question. Don't forget, next week is birthday giveaway. This is one of the giveaways, or it will be when it's finished. So I'm going to sit and finish this. If you'd like a chance to own this, then make sure you get your comments in. Stay safe. I'll see you very soon. Bye bye for now.